Hi, and welcome to General IELTS Help Test Preparation videos. This material and video is coming from gieltshelp.com. For lots more help preparing for the General IELTS exam, please visit us there and join the full course. Okay, now, very importantly, let's continue with the Task 1 letter structure and content. So, what is the structure, what is the content of this 150-word minimum letter? Again, the content is going to change a little bit depending on whether it's a formal letter or an informal letter. But the structure is going to stay the same. So the structure, you can think about it as having 3 parts in this exercise. So again, in the real world, of course, there are many different kinds of letters. You could write very long letters that are 4 or 5 pages long, or just very short letters. But for the IELTS, for the general IELTS, think about this letter as having simply 3 parts. The first part of this letter should be the introduction. So, introduction or the greeting. So, very importantly, of course, in this introduction, what you want to do is introduce yourself, indicate the purpose of the letter, and hook the reader. So basically what this means is in the first couple sentences, and that's all this is really just maybe 2 to 3 sentences. All you want to do is introduce yourself. So who are you? Even if you're writing to your friend, it's fine. Just introduce yourself. Give the purpose. So why are you writing this letter? That should be included in the very beginning because you want your reader to be coherent about what you're going to explain or what you're going to state. That's very important for a good score on this exercise. And very importantly, you should include a hook in your letter, just like in Task 2. A hook, again, remember, it's like the hook that we use to catch fish. In this case, we're not catching fish, but we're catching the attention of our reader. In Task 2, you also need a good hook for your introduction. The same is true for letter writing. Now, in letter writing, the hook is a little bit easier because you simply just use the context of the letter. So, for example, if you had a bad experience in a restaurant, then your hook can be explaining exactly that. So your first sentence might be, my family and I had a terrible experience at your restaurant last week when we went for dinner. So this would be the hook. And of course, that also may include the purpose. But just make sure that it's something interesting that catches your reader's attention or interest, okay? So again, the first part is the introduction, it's the greeting. Tell the reader who you are, why you're writing the letter, and make sure that somewhere in that first part there's a hook. It catches the attention of your reader. The second part of letter writing is the body. So once you have the introduction, the next thing you need to do is explain what's happening. So the second part is the body of the letter, and the body of the letter should be anywhere from about 8 to 10 sentences. So 8 to 10 sentences. And in these 8 to 10 sentences, you need to do a few different things. So first of all, give a clear explanation. So think about your W questions. What, who, why, where, when. All of these questions are really good to ask yourself as you're writing the letter. And then, of course, answering these questions is what becomes the explanation. So think what, who, why, when, where, and so on to come up with your explanation. Now, perhaps the most common mistake that I see students make in their letter writing is they try to write about too much. So they try to write about a lot of different kinds of ideas or different types of situations that are happening. This is not a good idea. It shows a lower level of English and it's often very confusing for the reader. And of course, when the detail is missing, then there's no clear picture of what's actually happening, and the score is going to reflect that. It's going to be much lower. In order to get a higher score, a much better score, focus on just a couple of ideas and explain them very clearly in different ways, again, using a lot of descriptive language. So it's really important here. Focus on just one or two ideas and give lots of detail. And when I say detail, I mean use sensory language. Sensory language means language that has to do with our senses, so seeing, tasting, hearing, smelling, feeling, and so on. So use lots of sensory language. Use adjectives and adjective clauses. So again, just be really, really descriptive. And letters, especially if you're writing to friends and so on, should reflect emotions as well. So your emotional state, what you're feeling inside, what you're thinking. Humans, again, remember, are very visual and very emotional. When writing reflects both emotion and imagery, so pictures, videos, things we can imagine and see, it's going to be a lot better. And it's going to get a much better score, especially if it's organized well. So that's the second part of letter writing. That's the main part. I'm going to give you a couple of examples for that later on. And then, of course, we have one more part for the letter, which is the conclusion to your thoughts. So let's look at a little description about that. All right, so the third part is the conclusion. You can also think about the conclusion as your final words, okay? Your final words. The reason I say that is because Your conclusion should be, of course, strongly related to what you have just written, and it should leave your reader with a sense of satisfaction or a sense of duty, something that needs to be done. Nobody likes to write letters and then not get any kind of a response or a reply. That feels really bad, and of course it seems pointless. So your goal here is for the recipient or the audience to take action when they have read your letter. So this is called a call to action. A call to action, if you're writing to your friend, could simply be just to have them write a letter back. So make sure that your letter contains some sort of dialogue. How are you doing? I would love to hear about what you have been up to in the past months. I haven't spoken to you in a long time. Please let me know what's going on with your family. So request for that dialogue, okay? So request dialogue. So for the conclusion should be about, again, 2 to 3 sentences. And these 2 to 3 sentences are this call to action, this request to dialogue, and a summary of ideas. So summarize your ideas and engage your reader. If it's a formal letter and you've made a complaint to a hotel about the services they've given, then here is where you should summarize that, okay, I'm not satisfied with the services that I had received at your establishment. I feel that compensation is in order. I would like a coupon or a discount the next time I'm going to stay at your hotel, or a meal voucher for your restaurant, or some kind of compensation. So again, you want some action to take place, and you want to be informed about that action. So I look forward to receiving a response, or I look forward to your reply explaining what you have done to mitigate the situation. So these kinds of statements are very useful. Again, that call to action. So that's your conclusion. So again, remember 3 parts. First, you introduce yourself, you give a greeting, you get the interest of your reader, and you make clear the purpose of your letter. Second part, you go into explanations on 1 or 2 ideas, just a few ideas. You go into a lot of detail explaining the circumstance from different situations, and then you give a conclusion, your final words. You call the reader to action, you request for dialogue, so a back and forth communication. It should not be more than 2 to 3 sentences, and this is where you summarize your ideas and make sure to engage your reader. All right, so that's the content and structure. Now let's talk a little bit about the 2 types of letters, formal or informal, and then we can write a couple of examples so you know exactly what you should do for each of these 3 parts. The video that you just saw and all these materials are coming from gieltshelp.com. For lots more help with the General IELTS English exam, please visit us there and join the full course.